Hey everybody, it is April and today I'm here to give you a good old book haul, good old-fashioned book haul. I've got like 12 books here, so it's gonna be a little while because I do intend to read the first lines. I need to do that, I need to remember to do that. And so if you like book hauls, stay. I'd love for you to subscribe and hang out with me, give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Let's dive in. We are going to start with two new release books that I picked up myself. I couldn't help it. I was at Chapters one day with a friend and it just sucked me in. And then I was at Walmart doing errands and I again couldn't help myself. We're going to start with The School for Good Mothers. I did not really have this on my radar for a good long time, and then it feels like everyone on Booktube has been reading it. And as I started reading the synopsis and learning about it, it just sucked me in. This is set in a dystopian-like world where Big Brother is watching, and they're watching specifically parents and how parents treat their child and what happens to their children. And we follow a woman named Frida who is really struggling in life. She has a career that her Chinese immigrant parents don't really approve of, is not worthy of all the sacrifices that they made. Her husband is having an affair that he will not end, but she, thank goodness, has her child. She has little Harriet, and she loves Harriet with every fiber of her being. There is one day in all of her days as a mother that she gets it wrong, that something terrible happens, and Harriet is taken away from her. And she has to prove to the government, to the system, that bad mothers can be redeemed. And it is that journey. It sounds so upsetting and like every parent's worst nightmare. I definitely want to read this. So let's read the first line. And it's a good one. We have your daughter. Yeah, 5-star first line. Considering the back and considering the concept of this book, we have your daughter, terrifying. Can't wait to read it. The other book that I picked up is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. I saw Jen Campbell review this recently. It was absolutely on my radar. And then the way that Jen spoke of it, I was like, okay, I think I do need to pick this up. This is set in 1925 and we meet a woman named Nan. Nan met Agatha Christie as well as her husband, Archie, many years ago. And she first became friends, I believe, with Agatha Christie in some way. And then she ended up becoming Archie's mistress. This starts off, I believe, over the course of those 11 days that Agatha Christie went missing, but it's from Nan's perspective. But we also explore Nan's kind of tragic past. She was madly in love with a man, and then the Great War happened, a pandemic happened, and shameful secrets tore them apart. And it's about all of these secrets. It sounds incredible. Now, it is a Reese's Book Club, and I don't always like her picks, but I'm so curious. I don't know about you guys. I find those 11 days that we don't really know what happened to Agatha Christie so fascinating. Like, I still want to know any book that is about that. I'm like, yeah, get that in my sister. I think I have 3 books about this topic. What? I don't know, but here we are. So let's read the first line. Okay. A long time ago in another country, I nearly killed a woman. Yeah, 5-star first line. That sounds so good. Not as good as The School of Good Mothers, but still really good. Now let's move into a couple of books that were sent to me by publishers. I very much appreciated when publishers send books my way. And the first book is a memoir by Delia Ephron. This is called Left on 10th A Second Chance at Life. Delia Ephron is Nora Ephron's sister. They wrote I think they wrote a couple of screenplays together. Delia Ephron is absolutely a novelist of her own right, a writer of her own right. But as you guys know, or maybe you don't know, I named my child after Nora Ephron. And this is Delia's perspective after Nora passed away, after her sister passed away, as well as her husband passed away. Now, Delia did meet someone else, also really mourning the loss of his wife, and they ended up getting together as friends and then fell in love. And apparently, Nora had set them up for a date many years ago. She did not remember this, but I guess he did. And it's about life since Nora, life since her husband passed away, and finding love again. And it sounds lovely, and I genuinely care about this family. Like, I think about them and how they're doing since Nora passed away, and I don't know why, but I'm totally obsessed with them. Not in a creepy way. Okay, let's read the first line before I keep talking. I knew my husband was dying in June. That's so sad. That's really sad. I think I feel kind of wrong about giving that a star rating like that. I don't think I will, because it feels icky. But really good first line. Very sad first line, considering it's a memoir. Next is a new Darcy Coates book, and you guys know how much I enjoy her writing. Great ghost stories exist within her mind, and I'm so grateful for it. This is her latest. It is out now. This is The Ravenous Dead. This is the second in the Gravekeeper series, and this follows Kira, who is a graveyard keeper, she takes care of graveyards, groundskeeper. She is used to being surrounded by the dead. She can hear them calling out to her. She can communicate with them to some extent. In this case, she is now at the Blightley graveyard, and one of the dead does not want to be saved. In fact, one of the dead hates the living so much that they will prefer unrest to rest. And we follow her dealing with a serial killer who was interred among the trees decades before, his spirit twisted by his violent nature. It sounds like fun. Yeah, let's read the first line. You've been dead for a long time. Oh, that's fun. So those are the new releases that I've got. And then I've got an enormous stack of books that I got at Value Village, and I went to one used bookstore. So let's dive into those. So these are in no particular order, but the first one we're going to talk about is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I think that's her name. Again, a Reese's Book Club. Makes me nervous, but a lot of people have read this and really enjoyed this. This is, I believe, more mystery than thriller. This is about a woman whose husband disappears, but before he's disappeared, he gives a note to her. They've only been married for 1 year, and this note says, protect her. And it references his daughter, who is a 16-year-old girl named Bailey. Now, Bailey's mother sadly passed away. And, you know, our main character is trying to be a good stepmom, but Bailey really doesn't want to have anything to do with her. In the meantime, her husband has disappeared, and the FBI are really taking over their life. I think his boss was arrested. The FBI is at their door, it seems, every 5 seconds, and she's realizing that she doesn't really know her husband very well. And she believes that the key to understanding him and the key to understanding his secrets might be in Bailey. And so Bailey and our main character start hunting down his secrets and trying to find out what in the world was going on with this man before he disappeared. It sounds interesting. I don't know if I'm going to put this on my thriller shelves. I think I might put it on my contemporary because it gives me a vibe that it might be more of that than anything else. I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. But let's read the first line. Prologue. Owen used to like to tease me about how I lose everything, about how in my own way I have raised losing things to an art form. Not a 5-star first line, I would say, at all, but I saw it at a Value Village and it saw me and it was fate. Next is the Lighthouse Witches. I know, first of all, I am upset. I'm just as upset about the sticker issue as you are. We're both upset about it. It will be rectified. I'm gonna go and get some Goo Gone and take care of this horrible situation because this cover is so pretty. And this is a very gothic-y kind of book by C.J. Cook. And this is about a lighthouse that for centuries has weathered storms as well as horrors. So back when it was first built, I believe, a witch hunt began on this little island where the lighthouse lives. And then centuries later, islanders are vanishing without explanation. So we follow a family. We follow Liv as well as her 3 daughters. And she goes to this island in search of a home. And she doesn't believe in witches. She doesn't believe in all of this mystery or anything like that. But at the end of, I believe, the summer or just a few months later, her daughter, Liv's daughter, Luna, is the only one of them left. Everyone else has vanished. Now, Luna, 20 years later, has decided to go back to this lighthouse, to the island, to find out what happened to her family. I need to know. I need to know. Have I read C.J. Cook? I think I have 2 of her books on my shelves at this point, and I still haven't read her. It must happen, and I really will. I promise I'll fix this. Don't worry. Oh, I forgot to read the first line. What in the world was I thinking? Okay. The lighthouse was called The Longing. Okay, not a 5-star first line, but I'm still excited. Next is a Canadian book that sounds riveting. Another thriller, maybe police detective, mystery thriller kind of thing. This is Find You in the Dark. And it sounds so strange. This follows a man named Martin who is obsessed with murder, like 100% obsessed. He buys police files on serial killers and he starts to use those files to do his own investigating into remains that were never discovered by the police. And what he does is he finds the remains and then he calls the police anonymously and tells them where they are. And he's been doing this for months, if not years. On his latest dig, he is searching in a graveyard for the first kill of Jason Shern. And this is a murderer who is meant to be responsible for killing Martin's own sister-in-law. Now, he digs up the remains of, it does seem, Martin's sister-in-law, but it is also next to a fresh body. He wasn't expecting that. And we also follow a detective named Sandra Whittle, and she's slightly annoyed by this person who keeps calling in this way, and she kind of calls him the Finder. She thinks that he might have murderous intentions himself. And the latest call that she's gotten is about this fresh new body. And Martin himself is wondering what's going on because whoever made the call, it wasn't him. I think that sounds like so much fun. And it's got a blurb here from Ian Reid, who wrote I'm Thinking of Ending Things, a fast-paced, morbidly addictive novel of chilling infatuation. I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's read the first line. Bella Green left his apartment for what she knew was going to be the last time. I wouldn't say it's a 5-star first line, but I'm still eager. So I've got a historical fiction book for you next. This is When We Were Young and Brave by Hazel Gaynor. I really enjoy her writing. And this takes place in 1941 in China, which I love when we see World War II fiction in another country that I don't tend to read from, at least a lot. This is about Nancy Plummer, who lives in China with friends. She's at like a boarding school called the China Inland Mission School. And they're feeling very lucky because they're extremely far away from the war that's happening until Japan declares war on the US. Pearl Harbor happens. Japanese forces essentially come into her school and say it's under control of Japanese forces. So she and her teacher, Elspeth, become very close when they are, as a group, sent to an internment camp, and they're trying to adjust, survive. It sounds really interesting. So let's read the first line of When We Were Young and Brave. All right. Okay. Nancy, Oxford, 1975. Oh, we're going forward. Okay. We didn't talk about it afterward. Ooh, I like that. I really like that. Not a 5-star first line, but maybe 4 considering the blurb on the back. Yes. Next is another thriller. It's Pretty Things by Janelle Brown. This was all over the place in shops. I don't know if I heard a lot of people talking about this on Booktube though. This follows 2 young women. We follow Nina, who thought she was going to have this really fulfilling career. She had a liberal arts degree, but nothing really came of it. And she ends up becoming a con artist like her mother. And she steals from rich kids in LA. So we follow her. And then we also follow Vanessa, who is a young and privileged heiress, who wants to have her own mark on the world. She's like an influencer, but she has actually had a lot of tragedy in her life. And these 2 girls' paths collide at a family mountain estate called Stonehaven. It's a mansion, of dark secrets, not just from Vanessa's past, but also from that of a lost and troubled girl named Nina. And I just think that sounds interesting that they end up together at this mansion. So who knows? You never know. Sounds interesting to me. Let's read the first line of Pretty Things. When a body goes down in Lake Tahoe, they say, it does not rise again. That's a good first line. I'd say 4 stars, but really good first line for sure. Especially for a thriller, you want something to suck you in. That's their job. And then the other book that I got yesterday is another thriller from a Valley Village. This is The Girls Are All So Nice Here. I love this cover, by the way. To me, my favorite covers are black and white with really like popping text. I don't know why, it's just my vibe, but I love this cover very much. I feel like I have heard this kind of story told before for sure. However, I am intrigued by that storyline again and again. This is about a reunion. And we follow a woman named Ambrosia who graduated from college and really tries to, distance herself from that time, make a life for herself fresh and new. However, there is a reunion coming up, and she receives an anonymous note in the mail that says, we need to talk about what we did that night. Now, she and her best friend of that time, Sully, did something in college that they should not have done whatsoever. When they arrive at the reunion, they start to receive increasingly menacing messages, and it becomes really clear that they are being pursued by someone who knows what they did and isn't happy about it. It sounds kind of fun I saw it and I was there and it was there and here we are. So the girls are all so nice here. Let's read the first line. Together we ruled. Not at all a 5-star first line. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this. Is it worth it? The cover just sucks me in, but like, did you like it? Do you think I will like it? The next two are from a little used bookstore that's close by in Stittsville from me, and I picked up a Kate Atkinson. I couldn't help myself. This is Human Croquet. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is her first book, and I think they've re-released her books in these lovely editions. I really like this cover. I'm really into covers right now. In any case, I'm going to read the back to you because it sounds like this might be playing with time, very similar to what she did in Life After Life. So, once it had been the great forest of Lythe, and here in the beginning lived the Fairfaxes grandly at Fairfax Manor. But over the centuries the forest had been destroyed, replaced by streets of trees. The Fairfaxes have dwindled too, and now they live in Arden at the end of Hawthorne Close, and are hardly a family at all. But Isabel Fairfax, who drops into pockets of time and out again, knows about the past. She is 16 and waiting for the return of her mother, the thin, dangerous Eliza, with her scent of nicotine, asparage, and sex, whose disappearance is part of the mystery that still remains at the heart of the forest. Kate. Just Kate. I love her. I really love her. Really, really. Okay. Beginning. Streets of trees. Let's read the first line. Call me Isabel. I don't know if that's 5-star first line. No. But I'm so excited about this book. I'm so happy that it was there and I was there and it landed in my hands. Last but not least is another historical fiction book that I definitely had my eye on for a while. This is An Unlikely Spy by Rebecca Starford. There is a quote here by Hannah Kent, an exceptional novel about World War II, bringing 1940s England to life. Now, we follow a woman named Evely Varley, who has been ambitious and clever from the get-go. She receives a scholarship to a prestigious academy, which her parents could never have afforded, but she gets this scholarship and she's able to go, and so she meets all sorts of friends there who are very, very well-to-do, we will just say. And so she ends up becoming best friends with one of the girls there, who is one of England's wealthiest families, from one of England's wealthiest families. So that happens, and then simultaneously she is recruited into an elite MI5 counterintelligence unit. Now this unit, their mission is to link themselves to Germany and learn some of Germany's secrets. So she is to pose as a Nazi sympathizer. And the whole idea is to gather information and expose their treachery. But as she, moves into that world, she meets people that she knows. And it creates this the complex situation within her where she is dealing with loyalty to her country and what she knows is right, and then a sense of loyalty to people that she knows and that she has been close to, and what do you do in this situation? It sounds really, really interesting. So let's read the first line of An Unlikely Spy, March 1948. Evelyn spotted Stephen across the busy road. Not a 5-star first line. I still want to read it. So those are all of the books that I picked up as of late. This is a long video. Apologies. Hope that you did enjoy it. Again, if you have read any of these, let me know in the comments below what you read, what you liked, what you didn't like. Hopefully they were all gems. That is the goal. And I will talk with you very soon. Bye.